the rich kid who became Nairobi's most wanted gangster. On August 28, 1992, Thomas Warui, alias Tommaso Gagula, was born. He was born into a prestigious and well-known family. Tommaso was a Form 2 dropout from Marigua's Pioneer School. Tommaso's parents lived in Langata and worked tirelessly to ensure that their children received the greatest education possible. Tommaso moved from Langata to Kaole and rented a house. He began socializing with touts and eventually became one. Those were the darkest days in Nairobi since there were so many gangs. Tommaso became a tout and was adored by all. They had no idea he was a sheep dressed in a hyena's skin. He began hanging out with the founder of the Mauki family, who we only knew by his codename, Kivo Lumidi. Tommaso was living Big Mira on a regular basis, and at the time, Mira was only available to a few people due to its high cost. His favorite hangouts were reggae clubs, where he was surrounded by his buddies and females, known as Team Chafua Meza. His favorite drink was Double Black. From Friday until Monday, there will be a celebration. Things began to change when a certain Matatu was abducted and one of the passengers expressed her suspicions that a certain tout was among the carjackers. Do you want to find out who he was? It had to be Tommaso. From then, things went downhill for him since drones were mounted to monitor his every move, day and night, but he was smart because he had informers. Tommaso worked all day as a tout, but when the sun went down, he turned into a monster. Their target was raiding big shops, kidnapping, and carjackings. Whenever the drones were mounted, the miscreants were notified, and for such reasons, Gagula and his team continued terrorizing Nairobians. Though the sleuths were 100% sure that Tommaso was a criminal, they couldn't take any action because there was no substantial evidence against him. Team Chafua Meza continued terrorizing Nairobians and thought that they owned Nairobi. They even started partying at Kajina's Buruburu because they knew that they were untouchable. They expanded their boundaries and would raid businesses outside Nairobi. One night they attempted to raid a certain petrol station within Kangondo Road, but they didn't manage because drones were within. The following day, police officers paid a visit to Njoroge and Juka, Tommaso's parents, and requested that they take their sons out of Nairobi before it was too late. Those were the days officers were giving fare to criminals. I know you're eagerly waiting to know how their parents reacted. They couldn't control their sons. After Tomas was notified that sleuths were at his parents' place and they had given some directives that must be followed, he started posting nasty things on his Facebook account. In one of his posts, he wrote, "You only have one life, you live it to the fullest, not knowing what happens tomorrow." He then attached a photo of him drinking Black Label. Even after the declaration that Tommaso and his gang deserved nothing else than death, they didn't stop their operations. Mr. Tommaso advanced, and he would even display his gun to anyone who dared him. He was the only thug who was elegant. Timberland boots were his favorites, and he wore designed shirts with silver bling. His presence would be felt anywhere, no bouncer dared him. Mr. Alejandro, the lover bird, kept on escaping traps. Eventually, one night they managed to carjack a certain Toyota Fielder from Kariobangi South and drove toward Mombasa Road. The following day they even attended their friend's burial with the same car. For sure, we had the real demons. Imagine they had the guts to steal a car and attend their friend's burial, then after the burial they went partying using the same stolen car. Mr. Alejandro the lover bird, aka Telebang Tout, posted how he was missing a certain gangster who was neutralized within Utawala and how the thug was his icon. The stolen car was spotted in Buruburu on August 13, 2014, so after spotting the car, an ambush was mounted the same night as the moon was glowing, giving a clear vision of the street. The miscreants were unaware of the lions that were out hunting for prey. The night was awesome because that night they ordered free alcohol for everyone that was in that club. They cheered him, praised him, and sang songs of praise for Mr. Alejandro without knowing it was his last day on Earth. On the morning of August 14, 2014, the three mascots walked out of the club majestically to their stolen vehicle and attempted to speed off. That's when the movie began. Officers blocked the road and ordered them to surrender, but instead of surrendering, they pulled out their tools and started firing. It wasn't an easy task because those guys were also prepared for the worst. Gun blasts filled the areas of Buruburu, accompanied by screaming. Luckily, one miscreant was vaccinated, and that was Tommaso, and his two ninjas managed to escape successfully. Tommaso was laid to rest in the Langata cemetery after his father declined burying him on his land and even attending his funeral. Live by the gun, die by the gun.